Have you noticed that everything feels way more expensive now? I'm not talking about luxury stuff. I mean normal, everyday things. Groceries, gas, rent, fast food, utilities, even the little things you used to grab without thinking twice. It feels like you can walk into a store with $100, buy a few basic items, and somehow leave wondering where all your money went. And that's the question a lot of people are asking right now. Why is everything so expensive? And maybe even more importantly, is it ever going to stop? A lot of people feel like they're doing the same thing they've always done, but getting less in return. You go to the grocery store, and what used to be a normal trip now feels like it hit your bank account. You fill up your gas tank and instantly feel it. You open your bills and wonder how basic living became this expensive. And the frustrating part is, for most people, income hasn't gone up enough to match it. So it's not just that prices are higher, it's that your money feels weaker. That's what really gets people. Because when the cost of living rises faster than your paycheck, it starts to feel like you're falling behind even when you're trying your best. So let's start with the word everybody hears: inflation. Inflation basically means the price of goods and services go up over time. In simple terms, $1 doesn't buy what it used to. That's why people say things like, quote, back in the day, this used to cost half as much, unquote. Because in a lot of cases, it did. Now, some inflation is normal in an economy. Prices don't stay frozen forever. But when prices rise fast and keep rising, people really start to feel it, especially when it hits the stuff you have to buy, not optional stuff, not luxury stuff, the basics: food, housing, transportation, electricity, insurance, everyday survival. That's when the inflation stops being some boring economic term and starts becoming real life. So, why are prices rising so much? It's usually not just one reason, it's a bunch of things hitting at once. First, when businesses pay more to operate, they usually pass these costs on to the customers. If shipping costs go up, prices go up. If fuel costs go up, prices go up. If labor costs go up, prices go up. And once those higher prices get introduced, they don't always come back down. That's the part people hate. Because even when one part of the problem gets bigger, the prices often stay high. Second, supply and demand matters. If there's less of something but people still need it, prices usually rise. That can happen with food, housing, fuel, building materials, and a whole lot more. Third, energy affects almost everything. If it costs more to move goods, power equipment, heat buildings, or run farms and factories, that increase spreads through the whole system. A lot of people think rising prices are just about one thing, like groceries or gas, but really, it all connects. When energy rises, transportation rises. When transportation rises, store prices rise. When store prices rise, families feel it immediately. One of the biggest areas people feel this is in housing. Rent has gone up in a lot of places. Home prices have gone up in a lot of places. Repairs cost more, building materials cost more, property costs more, insurance costs more, and housing isn't something people can just ignore. If rent eats up more of your paycheck, everything else becomes harder too. Now groceries feel worse, gas feels worse, bills feel worse. Because once housing takes a huge cut of your money, there's not much left to work with. That's why so many people feel financially squeezed right now. It's not just one big expense, it's every expense stacking on top of every other expense. Groceries might be one of the most noticeable examples because everybody sees it. You don't need a chart, you don't need to be an economist, you don't need the news to tell you. You feel it every time you shop. You buy the same foods you've always bought, and the total is somehow way higher than you expected. Almost every time. You may even start changing what you buy. Maybe you skip the cereal brands. Maybe you buy less meat. Maybe you cut snacks. Maybe you stop getting the extras that you used to. And that's how prices really affect everyday life. They don't just change numbers on a receipt, they change behavior. People start budgeting harder, cutting back, putting things off, stressing more, working more. That's the real impact. And here's something important: it's not just that stuff costs more, it's that people are already stretched thin. So even a moderate price increase can feel huge if someone is already close to the edge. If your rent is high, your bills are high, your debt is high, and your income hasn't really moved much, then every extra cost feels personal. That's why people are getting emotional about this topic, because it affects your peace of mind. It affects your choices. It affects whether you feel stable or not. A lot of people aren't upset because they expected life to be cheap. They're upset because basic life feels harder to maintain than it used to. Now, this is where the conversation gets more heated. A lot of people believe that some companies use inflation as an excuse to raise prices even more. In other words, yes, costs may raise, but then some businesses push prices even higher because they know the customer's already expecting the increase. And whether you agree with that or not, it's easy to see why people feel skeptical. Because when people are struggling and big companies still seem to be doing just fine, it creates frustration. People start wondering, are prices rising because they have to, or because companies know they can get away with it? That question is the big reason why so many people are angry about the economy right now. Another major issue is wages, because even if prices rise, people can handle that a lot better when the pay rises too. But when the wages lag behind costs, that's when people feel trapped. You work the same hours, you put in the same effort. You may even be working harder than you ever have before. But your money doesn't carry the same weight. And mentally, that's exhausting because it makes progress feel slower. Saving feels harder, planning feels harder, getting ahead feels harder. A lot of people aren't asking to be rich, they just want their paycheck to cover a decent life without constant stress. And right now, for a lot of families, that feels harder than it should. So, is this just the new normal? That's the big question. Some prices may level off, some things may improve, certain costs may stop rising as fast, but not everything is likely to go back to the way it was. And that's a hard truth people are starting to accept. Once prices move up and people adjust to them, businesses rarely rush to lower them again. So for many people, the focus isn't even when prices will go down. It's more like, how do we survive this? How do we adapt? How do we make more? How do we stop falling behind? That's why conversations around budgeting, side income, self sufficiency, homesteading, and cutting expenses have gotten way bigger. People are trying to regain control however they can. At the end of the day, this is about more than numbers. It's about quality of life. It's about whether normal people can still afford normal living. It's about whether hard work still feels worth it. Because when groceries, gas, rent, and bills all rise together, it doesn't just hurt your wallet, it changes how you live. So, yeah, people have every right to be asking questions. Why is everything so expensive? Who benefits from it? And how much more can regular people take? I want to hear from you. What has gone up most where you live? Groceries, gas, rent, utilities? Drop it in the comments, and if you like this video, hit that subscribe button and check back daily.